Hi, welcome to episode 29 of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. We're going to talk about one of you guys' favorite topics. Literally, whenever I talk about virtualized networking, I get 2 to 3 times more views. So you guys have kind of spoken, you like to talk about virtualized networking. And I think the timing couldn't be perfect when we're correlating this episode of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk with the release of VMware's NSX network hypervisor. So just a little history. VMware's NSX hypervisor is really nothing new in a sense of network hypervisors. Specifically, it's more of the legacy Nicira technology, but really I'd like to say battle hardened or battle tested or hardened for or specifically designed to be compatible with all of VMware's vSphere suite. So I've gotten in quite a few digs, friendly digs on VMware, and Martin Caseta over there at VMware, who I consider probably one of the smartest guys in the industry, especially when it comes to software-defined networking. I've gotten in quite a few digs on kind of the release schedule or the lack of release schedule for NSX. I've been anxiously awaiting the release of NSX ever since VMware announced it prior to this year's VMworld San Francisco. Back right after last year's VMware made a big announcement about NSX and the upcoming technologies. VMware again announced it at VMworld 2013 in San Francisco, and I'm glad to say that it is finally released. And this release was announced as part of VMworld 2013 Barcelona. I plan on doing a lot of coverage in general over NSX, both technical and non-technical. Today we're going to have a great non-technical conversation about some of the practical challenges that NSX brings to the enterprise. I think one of the most interesting things about NSX is kind of the cultural issues that VMware brings to the plate when they, with the size of their market, when it comes to virtualization, and they bring in an adjacent solution like network virtualization into the enterprise. It's something that practically can't be ignored. There's been plenty of software-defined networking plays in the past. One of the more noticeable ones has been M2MI, I believe is the name of the company that Oracle has been teaming up to provide software-defined networks in the past that just basically haven't taken off, hasn't gotten a lot of traction. If you ask network administrators, virtualization administrators on, name me 3 or 4, the 4, 3, 2 network virtualization plays, I think they'd be pretty hard pressed to come up with someone other than VMware and their NSX product. VMware, at VMworld, they talked about how much interest there was in NSX. The crowd of basically server and virtualization administrators were very excited about NSX. When I talked through to folks in the crowd, a lot of VMware customers, I think there was a lot of uncertainty around what exactly NSX was, but they knew that it brought virtualization to the network. I think this is a great time to do a quick recap over what VMware's NSX product brings to the table. Basically, it brings the concept of network virtualization or network hypervisor to the network, to the physical network. So just like in the virtual network or virtual server space, we can bring virtual instances of hardware to physical server hardware. We can bring virtual network devices to the physical network. So just like in the virtual server space, just because I magically made 45 VMs run on a physical host doesn't mean that I no longer need network administrators. Server administrators. I, in some cases, need more server administrators because I've added more server workloads to the environment. The same thing I think happens with NSX, and I think one of the big challenges that VMware has in selling NSX to the overall enterprise. There's a lot of excitement, again, within the VMware community itself over NSX. The ideal that a network administrator a server administrator that has a license of Enterprise Plus in NSX, they can spin up unlimited network overlays on top of their existing network without even talking to a network engineer or network administrator is pretty exciting stuff. I mean, if we think about it from a practical sense, when it comes to cloud initiatives, those initiatives are first brought to the virtualization team. The virtualization team needs to build a coalition. In order to have a successful cloud project, they have to build a relationship with the network team, the storage team, and of course the server hardware team to be able to orchestrate the network in a way, or orchestrate the infrastructure in a way in which they can meet their cloud-based SLAs. When I've talked to friends about kind of their challenges in implementing cloud, one of the number one challenges is SLAs around the physical network and provisioning, whether it's public IPs, private IPs, network segments, multiple zones for a server that's in multiple zones. That's almost always the holdup in provisioning the network part of the cloud. And not to be a knock on the network team, if you've ever managed something as complex as an enterprise network, giving the keys to the network to a team outside of your department is a very scary proposition, because I've seen basic firewall rules, failed port mirroring, very simple things take down a whole enterprise network and bring operations to a screaming halt. So I understand the consternation that network engineers would have in giving over the power to provision networks to a team outside of their bubble, basically. So NSX kind of promises to solve that problem by creating overlays and separating the network, the virtual network, or even your cloud network from your physical network, which makes that change control and configuration management issue, at least on the physical network, go away. But I think this is kind of a temporary illusion or fix, because just like we know, virtualization didn't fix server sprawl. It actually made server sprawl worse, because you had the ability to create more workloads than you actually needed. You eliminated the physical limitation that was natural with the physical server footprint. You can only create as many physical servers as you can only create as many Windows and Linux workloads as you had servers. When you take away that limitation, I think you introduce the real trouble of server sprawl. Or just like when a business unit engages a SaaS cloud provider for a SaaS solution, when that solution outgrows the capability of that shadow IT that was created, that responsibility comes back ultimately onto the IT team to deliver the solution. So with that, it's the same, I think, challenge with network virtualization. That it needs to be a partnership between the cloud management team or virtualization team and the networking team to create a configuration management program, operations program, basically around managing virtual network devices. These network devices still need to get managed, and the folks managing the devices have to have the necessary skill to do that. And that normally lies within the networking team. I don't think the enterprise has gotten to the point yet that a virtualization engineer has the depth of knowledge to manage Windows workloads, the virtualization infrastructure, Linux workloads, and network devices, be them virtualized or non-virtualized. So that goes back kind of to what VMware's challenge is when it comes to adopting NSX into the enterprise. I think the network administrators are slow. There's no arguing. I think when I talk to network administrators, kind of their pain point has always been network provisioning. And if you give that capability directly to them, hey, you know what? They won't complain at all. They'll embrace the ability to provision networks. I think the problem comes in when they have their first big problem that goes beyond their skill set within their virtual network to troubleshoot, and they need to pull in help from the networking team is where there's going to be problem, or when these overlay networks create issues for the physical network that the networking team wasn't prepared to handle or address becomes a problem. So when it comes to kind of educating and marketing NSX, the problem isn't marketing to VMware's current customer base. It's, going into this green field of the network manager's office, the developer's office, all the parts of the IT operations that will truly leverage virtualized networking, selling them on the concept that one is needed, two, that it doesn't add the complexity that's kind of perceived out there, and three, that VMware is the right vendor to select for. I wrote the article on the comparing VMware's NSX solution to Cisco's ACI solution, which is their SDN play. So VMware will eventually have to compete against Cisco when it comes to their ACI SDN solution, and they have to go in and fight an uphill battle to convince the team that's managing a Cisco network that a software-based solution or a software-first solution is the way to go versus Cisco's hardware-first solution. So again, I'm really excited about network virtualization in general. I'm very happy that VMware has released NSX. I'm anxious to get it in my own lab. Hopefully I'll be able to get it into some type of nested VMware workstation lab where for those of us who are on a shoestring budget can get to play around with some fairly complex network concepts within a single workstation environment. Pretty cool stuff. And I'm really interested to see the feedback from the enterprise when it comes to implementing a very cross-platform solution such as NSX across both the physical network and the virtualization world. Again, if you like the video, I highly suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us. As always, you can find all of our material at virtualizedgeek.com. Talk to you in next week's installment of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. Thanks.